down the hammer and pick up the pencil. You're about to listen to the Savvy Radio Show. Learn from real-life real estate investors, experience revealed with the Savvy Landlord as your host.
What's going on, Savvy investors? This is, Steve VanCauwenbergh. I'm the Savvy Landlord, a.k.a. Savvy, a.k.a. your help, your coach in a box in the airwaves on the radio. Anyway, I just want to give a shout out to the folks that have encouraged me the last couple of days that said, hey, you like the new podcast format. Basically, I'm trying to throw in once a week a interview, and if you didn't get juicy enough, Lee Smith and JJ Grits, they're killing it. Also, you'll meet them at the Investor Weekend and other events that I got going on. They're just regular people grinding out every day, just like you. Speaking of grinding it out, well, I've been hanging out with my homeboy and another friend of mine, and he's in between the struggle. He's got, I think, 30-something properties. I'm not exactly sure off the top of my head how many properties he has. I know he has more than 24. I think he's got like 32, 36. And he's been struggling on hiring somebody. He does some wholesaling on the side. He's a full-time real estate investor. He's phenomenal. He's doing a phenomenal job. I'm just impressed, and I'm glad I get to be a part of his life. And we connect about once a week and just grinding it out. And we've been through some people together. He's been hiring people, and it hasn't turned out as great as he has. And so he wants to scale. This dude is on freaking fire. He has goals. He writes them down. He uses a 12-week plan. He has coaches in his life. He's athletic, and he's about it. Like he's just about it, getting it done. And I'm like, just hanging out with this dude, I get juiced up just listening to him, the struggles that he has to deal with and the things that he has to overcome, from a contractor blowing up in his face to a girl threatening him when he let her go, and just nonsense. And it's just great that I'm in his life, that I can walk him through those opportunities to grow as a real estate investor. You're going to have to go through those to find the diamonds in the rough. And so, he wants to scale like mad. Like he increased about 2 million, and he really wants to increase another 3 to 4 million this year. And he's like, Steven, I can't do it if I don't ramp it up. I can't grow. I can't do the things I want to do. I haven't, and he's just straight up confessed and said, man, I haven't done the mailings that I normally do. I haven't gotten the opportunity to call people back as fast as I do because I'm down in the trenches doing the things I don't want to do, which is working in your business, like dealing with tenants, renting, leasing properties out. And I'm not doing what I should be doing, and that's buying assets, building relationships, getting out there and getting it done. And I was like, okay, homeboy, I get it. Been there, done that, and on the next level. And so, we have to fire another individual that's in his organization. So this is just a one-man show. This dude built it all by himself. He did a phenomenal job. He's still doing a phenomenal job. He's phenomenal. I like just to say the word phenomenal. Say phenomenal. Say you are phenomenal. Like in the middle of the car, say, I like myself. I love myself. I'm phenomenal. You are a child of God. You are phenomenal. Say it one more time. Phenomenal. Phenomenal. First of all, you got to have the right mindset. The great thing about this guy working and coaching this dude, he has the right mindset. If you don't got the right mindset, you ain't going to scale, period. Okay. So he's got the right mindset, but VanCauwenbergh ain't working out. Well, we have two options. So we can go back and find a new person to hire and replace the deadbeat that's motivated, and that takes time, that takes money, and that takes a level of commitment. The first thing you got to do is you got to get your systems in place. No matter what you're doing, no matter how many people you think you should hire or how fast you think you should scale, you can't do those things unless you have systems in place. I'm fortunate enough that And I tote this, and I believe in this, and this has happened to me. If I had to let a property manager go, it would take me like 3 days, and it wouldn't skip a beat. Okay. And that's because, and the only reason is because I have policies and procedures in place how we exactly do your business. Don't work in the business, work on your business. Now this cat, he's got systems in place. I don't think they're very robust as much, because if he was a little bit more confident, he would hire people faster instead of taking too long to fire them. Okay. And I if he's listening to the podcast, you know who you are. This isn't, I'm going to slap you around, but that's the truth, right? Do you feel confident, OG, that you have your own systems in place? That's one thing. Okay. Now, I gave him an alternative, and to grow, you got to go through the fire. But here's an alternative that I did when I was at his level. When I was around about let me give you some scalability. When I did all the properties by myself until I was about 50 units. Now, my systems were running like a machine, Google Voice. I just leveraged everything and anything, and especially technology. My homeboy is like me, and he's up on it. Now, this is one idea that I leveraged, and I'm going to call this the Linda Hamilton process. Yep. And that's her real name. Her name is Linda Hamilton. She's in Oklahoma City. I still talk to this lady. She's off the chain. But I was at this point, just like him, pulling my hair out. I don't want to deal with tenants, and I don't want to rent a property out. Not that I'm beneath me, but it's not suited for what you want to do. You can't get rich running over there showing property to somebody that's not qualified. That's the first problem. The qualification is all things. But one day I was hanging out. I had an office in a law building. I had a little side office there, and there was a lady in the front. It was an older gal, and I would say she's about 60, maybe even more. She was functional, and she was kind of a paycheck to paycheck type of gal. Now, not because she was uneducated or something wrong. I don't know why. I don't know her circumstances in her world, but she was phenomenal. Yeah, you heard it again. This is that podcast. I'm going to title it Phenomenal. And I would see here, and she's like, "Hey, Steven, how are you?" And she was always jovial, always legit, no problems. And she had a very simple life. And one day I overheard her, and her car broke down. Bang. And she was struggling and couldn't get the money to get the new car. And I didn't loan her the money. So this is straight up. I was going to tell you I didn't loan her the money. But I did strike up a deal. I said, "How much is your car payment?" Or "How much is your new car payment?" And by this time, she had enough money. I think she had like $3,000 to $5,000. One day she showed up at the office, and she had a new vehicle. It was a used vehicle, but it was a solid vehicle. It was an old school Cherokee, and it was perfect. It was an SUV, and you should see this lady now. I mean, it's just phenomenal what you can do in the circumstances that you're in. So wherever your circumstances you are right now, you are phenomenal. You can get out of them. That's right. It's the 15th to the 16th of the month, and you need to come up with 5 G's tomorrow. You can do it. You just ain't thinking. You're not putting your resources together. So here's one creative idea. So I was like, "Hey, Linda, how much is your car payment?" She said, "Steven, it's only $225 a month. How about this, girl? How about that I cover your car payment for you if you can handle my phone for me?" She's like, "Really?" And she was like, just humble, like, thank God I just got beat up today because I'd be crying. But, the point is, she said, "Really?" I said, "Absolutely." I go, "This is what I need you to do. I need you to, first of all, here's a couple things. So you got to ask yourself, are you a solo person? Are you ready to grow? Have you hired people and you failed and you're looking for a quality of person? And timing is everything." So I say, "Hey, so it's just cool. She needed a blessing and I needed a blessing. So this is how it worked out. $225. And I was like, I need you to carry my phone." Now, keep this in mind. This isn't some crazy thing. She had a day job from 7 a.m. for 3 p.m. and she worked for an immigration attorney. And she was meaning immigration, random people that couldn't communicate would come up to her, and they'd have to try to get, citizenship, and she would have to walk them through the process and get them prepped and ready to go to talk to the attorney, because the attorney charged X amount of money. And it was amazing. So she already knew how to deal with people. But I just said, "Listen, this is what I will do. For $225 a month, I'm going to hand you a phone. You answer it when you can answer it. I want you to check your email and check the Google Voice logs. and then turn your phone on at 3 p.m. and 8 p.m. Work 5, whenever you can, and then show property. And then I got it down to bomb diggity that if you can show property, I figured out that she also was so savvy, this gal, she would tutor people. And I'm like, I'm flexible. She would tutor kids after school from 3 to 5 on certain days of the week. I was like, okay, give me one day a week that you can show a property. And it happened to be Thursday. And I'm going to let you know right now, Thursday is the best time to show property unless it's Saturday morning. And matter of fact, Thursday nights and Saturday morning, Miss Linda Hamilton would show my property for me. I was like, okay, Miss Hamilton, this is what you need to do. You need to drive up to the property, unlock the door, turn all the lights on, and get back in your car and read a book. Don't answer any questions. Let the email, let the canned responses do the work. The only thing you need to do is unlock the door and set up the showings. And she would email, and man, I'm telling you right now, it was the best $225 I spent a month. And that individual got me through the next level. It got me to when I got to about 80 units. And then when I got to 80 units, I really had to hire a full-time person. And then when I got over 80 units, I just took the whole thing over and hired a full-time person that was gangster. And to this day, this gal is crushing it for me. But it was a transitional period. So my homeboy, if you're listening to this and whenever we get together again, that you may need to fill the gaps temporarily, and it's going to teach you how to educate and create systems to get that ball in motion. So she answered the phone, answered the email. I said, don't call me ever. I said, don't call me. Because in the beginning, she tried to call me. I was like, you can text me. But, not to be rude, not to be disrespectful, but there's nothing in the world that's an emergency. Seriously. Even I've had houses burned down per se, or attempted to be burned down, and they didn't burn down. It was just a flash on the outside and the tenant went ballistic. You hear me? But she did. It took a week or two, and then she just learned to text me. Sometimes I would text her back. And honestly, I was really busy at that time, rehabbing too many properties I shouldn't have been rehabbing, and I was growing as an individual. And so I actually, through this process, I wrote out some notes of what I needed her to do. And she would handle all the calls that came in. She would respond to the emails, and mostly like, how much is the house? When could I see it? And she was advocating for me, and it was a great process. And I was able to bless this person for $225 a month, and I never answered the phone. And that should be your first test today, ladies and gentlemen. If you have more than 10 units, you should probably get a dedicated cell phone, a Google Voice number, and let someone else take that burden off of you. And there's someone in your market that could help you, grow your business and get to the next level. So I did write out a few items that when I was working with her, and so I wouldn't remember. So I considered it a part-time position. I considered it about 10 hours a week. And her duties were working with the property manager and maintenance. You'll be showing rental homes that are vacant to prospects. You'll be answering the phone to make appointments to show the vacant homes. You'll be another pair of eyes. So here's a cool thing. So when I had her walk around the property, I gave her an inspection sheet, and I was like, did you see anything wrong? Was there trash? And are we missing stuff? I don't know if you have any maintenance people or contractors. They leave trash everywhere. And it was just a good thing that someone was actually on property, and she would give me feedback. After she showed a property, she's like, hey, Steven, the light bulb is out. And if I was organized enough, I'd hand her. Nowadays, I would just hand her $5, go get the light bulb yourself and help me out. But back then, I was like, okay, I'll send maintenance over there. I also asked her to give me feedback from the tenant. What'd they say? I made her fill out a feedback form. Did they show up? And just statistical, a lot of people didn't show up. I also had her just show up at one time. You're showing the property at 6:00, and you tell everybody 6. If 5 people show up or 1 person show up, we don't stagger it, and you shouldn't do that as well. I also had her, again, fill in all the condition. How did it look like to you? What was the people's first impression? What were they like? What were the car that they were driving? Were they respectful to you? But I also gave her the demeanor to just sit back and not walk through the property. You really don't want this individual trying to sell or rent out your property because A, they're not your physical property manager. And when someone unlocks the door for you, they're representing you, and you don't want them to say anything wrong or quote the price wrong, because what happens? Now you're bound to that. They are a representative of you, and it just gets out of the way. I also, every time I released a property, I would email her a flyer. She would print the flyer out. I told her to put the flyer on the tables, on the counter. I also had her a box in her car full of flyers of random houses that I had. I also emailed her the application. She printed out the application. This gal, Linda Hamilton, I'm telling you, I'm where I'm at today because of this person. Because I was just like my homeboy, dying, frustrated, hiring, firing people. People want jobs. They work for about 30 days and then they suck. They want like entitlement and they don't want to grow. And this job that I'm talking about is not a high skilled job. Like you can't pay somebody $50 an hour to sit on a property and show it. No, this is a $10 to $15 an hour. But this is a great job for someone that's in between jobs or someone that's in between careers, and they're just kind of helping you out. Now, for an older person, this is an ideal situation. You know, think of it like the greeter at Walmart, a little bit better, okay? But, you know, you got to find the right person. That person could be in your church. That person can be in your building like it was for me. That could be a relative. Be careful with relatives. And a relative might not be a bad idea because they're going to take care of your property. They're going to let you know what's going on. Many times, I also paid Miss Hamilton a signing bonus if someone gave her a lead and I closed on it. For example, sometimes when you're showing a house, a neighbor being outside, what are you doing? She would chat it up, get their phone number, and one day I would gobble up that house. That had never happened, but if it did, I would be gladly give that person a bird dog fee of $500. I have given bird dog fees to my lawn care guy, and he's to this day still grinding it out, still giving me deals. What you'll receive when you work here as a 1099 contractor, a mobile phone with textability capabilities. Nowadays, people have their own phone, but back then, I really didn't want to disrupt this lady. I gave her a property binder, and that binder had all the flyers on every home, how to operate it. I gave her pepper spray. Someone brought to my attention, are you worried that something's going to happen to her? Not necessarily. Nothing's ever happened. And so I would always instruct her to get there 15 minutes early, even 30 minutes early, unlock the house, open all the doors, turn on all the lights, get back in the car and lock the car. If someone's asking you a question and say, hey, I'm not the property manager, email the company. It's funny, they're emailing her, or text the company. And again, we force people to text and email the company. And the reason why is that we have everything in writing. We don't want to say something that we can't deliver, and we don't want to make any guarantees or and promise something to someone that may have already got an application in and it causes problems. I gave her a caddy with pens, extra applications, flyers, and so on and so forth. So it's pretty simple. And then I had a one-day trainer, an hour. And this was actually at this time, I've used Mrs. Hamilton for the property manager that I had at the time. I had I had a maintenance guy / property manager. This dude, the trusted handyman. If you follow my podcast way back in the 100s or before the 100s, I talk about the trusted handyman. And this guy came from nothing. He became a little handyman for me, and then he became a contractor for me, and then he became my property manager. It was epic time in my life. I could trust this guy. He was very detailed, and he ran the ball machine. But we were growing so fast, and when the market dipped, we were buying houses like crazy. He couldn't show them all the time, and I was working this dude to death. And then I just kind of gave him a support team, subbed him out. And this gal would work with him. And so the trusted handyman and Linda Hamilton, it was a great opportunity. Hopefully this will help you out. When I was training her, I had checklists, I had property inspections, I had the feedback form, I had important phone numbers, my phone number, emergency, FAQs. Here's some FAQs to throw at you. When could I move in? How much is the deposit? What are the requirements? And I just had all these answers. Is bad credit okay? Is Section 8 okay? What about pets? How can I pay my security deposit? Give me the money. Here's what I would say. How can I get my security deposit back? How can I pay? Can I paint the house any color? How do I handle maintenance issues? Can I have a roommate? And so all this stuff I already had pre-canned, and this is what I'm talking about. This is systems. This is how you scale. This is how you become successful in any endeavor. You got to have systems. You got to have policies and procedures in place. I hope this impacted you. If I forgot something, let your boy know. Give back. I'm giving you 110%. I'm going the distance in 2019. I'm trying to hit these big goals, trying to crank out authentic, just life change podcasts. And if it's helping you, let your boy know. Tell me something that I forgot so I can get it in there. Don't forget, guess what we have coming up? Investor Weekend, Chattanooga, East Coast. I know I got some friends down in Florida, in the Carolinas, and even New York. Man, come hang out with us in Tennessee, near Tennessee, and also in Oklahoma City in April. Go to investorweekend.com. Great things for 2019. Hopefully you're doing well. Give me some feedback. Go to thesavvyradioshow.com. Click on voicemail. I get that. I would love to put something hot on there. Like, ask me a question. I could take that audio and put it on there and ask a question.
Investor Weekend is not far off, with over 10 information sessions to increase your portfolio. Log on to www.investorweekend.com. Whether you are a seasoned investor or never purchased a property before, you don't want to miss the Investor Weekend. Join us for a powerful, knowledge-packed weekend with over 10 informational sessions that are bound to enlarge your real estate investments. You will hear from the best national and local real estate investors that will share practical and relevant experiences with you, the investor. There will be several networking sessions to connect with other like-minded people for potential funding, partnerships, and yes, hot deals. Go to www.investorweekend.com. Did you know we meet once a month for the Landlord Lunch Meeting? The third Wednesday of every month. Go to landlordlunch.com.
Thanks for listening to The Savvy Radio Show. Glide online and listen to our other motivating episodes at savvyradioshow.com. Connect on Twitter at LandlordBook and always be buying assets.